Training for a marathon is hard. Do you know what makes it harder? Yeah, I'm talking to you, Jack. I may have scared a few Jacks there, but I'm actually talking to all of you. And if that's a little bit scary, you feel like you're guessing a little bit in this marathon training game, or you're just a little bit lost as to why you keep picking up injuries, don't worry. I've got you with this video. I'm a pro marathon runner with big goals to represent my country at the 2028 Olympic Games. And I have made all of the mistakes before. And I'm here on the other side to help you avoid making them. These are 7 habits that I've put in place to make sure I'm in the best possible position to reach my goals. And the great news is they're all things that you can do too. You don't need to be even remotely elite to do these things and to benefit from them, but it may increase your risk of becoming elite. Could be a good thing. Oh, and I'm also a coach. So I'm gonna break these down for you so that you can apply them to yourself and basically make sure that you arrive at your next marathon, or any other distance to be fair, with your goals still in sight and with the best possible training in the bag. And before I get into it, I have a favor to ask. If you get even a kernel, a mere grain of something useful from this video, which I'm pretty sure you will because there's some really great advice in here, please hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet, because there's more advice where this came from, and I would really love to have you on this journey with me as I work towards becoming an Olympian. It does sound scary saying that out loud. These 7 habits, this advice that is rooted in my own experience, it's not going to be like those lists of things you should be doing that are asking you to eat eggs, trying to teach you how to suck eggs. I don't understand. Is that how the saying goes? It's not all going to be stuff you've heard before. Like, make sure you stay hydrated because that's really important for your muscles. I'm going to be assuming that we have reached a certain level of common sense, and none of it is going to involve anything that you can't access. No expensive altitude trips, no fancy gadgets that you absolutely need, just good, solid advice that you can actually implement and benefit from. And what I'm really excited about is I think I can show you how you can make it easy to injury-proof yourself, because the route to success doesn't always have to be a hard one just for the sake of it. And whilst I'm all about preventing injuries in the first place, I'm not going to leave you in the dark if you do, unfortunately, pick up an injury. It is part and parcel of sport, but there's also things you can do to help yourself get out of that situation faster and better for it. So I'm going to talk about what you should do when you notice the first signs of an injury cropping up, and then what you should do afterwards if it does stop you from running. I thought really hard about what to include in this video, and every single one of these 7 habits are things that have kept me major injury-free for most of my career. Psst, Phily, I think you should deal with the elephant in the room. Yes, right now I am injured. But until this knee problem came up and sidelined me, which I will add was caused by a freak fall on a trail, I had not taken more than 2 weeks off from training in over 11 years. And that's just as far as the data goes back. That's pretty amazing. So I'm going to put you out your misery with this first little kernel of advice whilst I make my way to the shop for a very important purchase, which may or may not be needed later on in the video. Number 1, have a ready-made, ouch, that hurts, response plan. Most injuries blow up or become much worse than they actually need to be because people panic or guess in response to an initial pain. And I get it. I have been there. We are so set on everything working out, following our plan, that when something crops up, it's a little niggle. It's not an injury yet. We either freak out because it's going to throw us off course, or, and this is arguably worse, we think we're qualified to decide how to deal with this. Unless you are a physiotherapist, a doctor, or a specialist in the area of pain, you are experiencing neither you nor Google,
excuse me,
nor any of your friends who have had the same pain are an expert in what to do. In the very early days of my career, I fell victim to this, and I had recurring shin splints and didn't get it seen to, thought that I could just fix it with Google. I think I was 16. I have no data to look back on because this is pre me using a running watch. But I tried so many different things that were all the wrong thing. Then I saw a physio, and it turns out I had really weak cuffs. So none of the things that I was doing was dealing with the root cause of the problem. Hence why it kept coming back. So my number 1 tip, and this is what I do now, is to have a plan for if you start feeling the pain. And here's an example of a plan that you can use when it's still at the annoying discomfort pain, but not alarm bells ringing, I've got an injury pain. Step 1, we're gonna drop our volume from between 20 to 30%. That's gonna give you a little bit of extra time to recover, and it's giving us a window to be a little bit risk averse and to get some feedback from the body. Step 2, we're going to swap intensity for cross training. So instead of blitzing that session that you got coming up tomorrow, if your foot's hurting, let's do it on the bike and see if it doesn't hurt the next day. If that doesn't work, step 3, we are going to take 48 hours off. Yes, complete rest. Imagine if someone said you can take 48 hours off now or push through for the next 48 hours and take 2 weeks off. I know I'd do. And step 4, if none of that works, you're gonna go and see a physio. That means we've given ourselves 3 days of reduced training load and reduced intensity, some rest, and that's not fixed the issue. It clearly needs some extra input, and we haven't made it any worse. And this just removes all the guesswork. It takes out any emotion-driven responses that might not actually be the best call, and often enough, it gives the body exactly what it needs before it gets to the full-blown injury stage. Number 2. And boy have I messed this one up before. Respect the invisible load. What are you talking about, Philly? I thought you said this was applicable to everyone and not just the elites. What the hell is the invisible load? One of the biggest mistakes that we make is looking at training in isolation to everything else. It's the same one body that is going out and hammering a long run, that is waking up, feeding the kids or the cats, experiencing high stress levels because you're moving house, going through the perimenopause, waking up multiple times in the middle of the night, or having to travel long distances for work. Marathon training plus life stress equals the same bucket that it all lives in. That's you, and you're the bucket, by the way. If work, sleep, travel, hormones, nutrition, moving house. If stress from any of those things spikes, let alone more than one at the same time, your injury risk is going to go up. Because cortisol is cortisol, which is one of the catchphrases that my coach loves to throw at me as a really clear reminder that stress is stress. Too much of it, whether it's from marathon training or life stress or a combination of the two, is going to be bad for you. And the reason my coach needs to bring this up with me repeatedly is because I have not got this down yet. It is really, really difficult, even as a professional athlete whose life is arguably intentionally structured around running. Stuff comes up. Life is stressful. It's a normal part of existing. This point is not about removing all stress. It's about recognizing it and making adjustments, rather than doing what I have done in the past, which is soldiering on blindly and putting myself in an absolute hole of exhaustion and burnout. Adjust your training on the days or the weeks when everything's just a bit too much. For me, it's noticing that I need to do that rather than realizing I'm stressed and just powering through. That's where I was once upon a time, and that's even worse. But having also got this right and experiencing how I feel when I have adjusted things, I can't recommend it enough. There's no special badge or bib you get on the start line for ticking everything off despite life throwing lots of things at you. And 9 times out of 10, those people aren't on the start line because they've picked up an injury or they have burnt out. I'm starting to lose the light, and that very important purchase I mentioned, the shop might be closing soon. So I'm doing the next one on the move, which is quite fitting actually, because it has a lot to do with movement. So for number 3, we are going to create a non-negotiable recovery habit. And if you've been a subscriber for a while or you've followed me on Instagram, it's not going to be a surprise. Mine is mobility. And it's really not about being more flexible, because stretching kind of isn't the point. Switching your nervous system off is. And this is an absolutely fantastic time to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, who have been helping me stay on top of my mobility whilst I'm injured and rehabbing this knee, and that is all through a handy little app called GoWOD. Firstly, my little pitch to anyone who says they don't have time for mobility or they don't see the benefit of it: 5 minutes of intentional breathing alongside some focused mobility work, maybe post-run or as part of your winding down routine before you go to bed. That's all you need to make a difference if you're not doing any of it right now. That will do a lot more for you than just the odd 30 minutes of static stretching once a fortnight. And that's how I started to integrate mobility into my routine. Just 5 to 10 minutes before I'd go to bed. Sometimes I'd do it post-run. And the difference in how you feel when you start a run and just your baseline stiffness is incredible. Who doesn't want to feel smoother whilst they're running and at the same time reduce their risk of injury? If that's not you, I'm not sure why you're watching this video. And whether you're in the camp that is already convinced mobility is needed and good for you, or you're not sure and you maybe want to find out, GoWOD can help. I am someone who thinks they already have this down because I work on mobility and I have a set of exercises that I have found I quite like and tend to do pretty much every day. But this is what happened when I actually tested my mobility in different areas using the GoWard app.
Can you push it down?
No. The target here is to place your upper leg completely on your lower foot.
It's not going anywhere.
She's going nowhere. I'm actually off the charts bad on this one. Just gonna see how bad Daniel is at this one. Don't arch your back.
Oh, so painful.
Yeah. Need to do some more mobility.
Yeah.
Do not bend the knees. 85 degrees. It's not told me if that's good or bad yet, but I think I know. So having assessed my baseline mobility, I've actually got quite a lot to work on. Some of it I was very aware of already. That internal and external hip rotation, never been my strong suit. But what's great is I now have concrete measurements that I can take at home and use specific exercises that are tailored to me and improving mobility in that area, and I can track it all on the app. You can go on there and select what you're aiming for, so whether it's marathon training, long distance running, maybe you also cycle or do a little bit of swimming. It's going to take that into account and then assess your mobility in the crucial areas for those sports. And then from all of those tests, your results and all the measurements, you get personalized routines that's going to help you perform better in the sports that you care about. And if you're sat there watching this thinking, come on Phily, it's just a little bit of stretching, it's not going to make a difference, let me try and convince you. Working on mobility and improving your joint range of motion has been proven to improve running economy. You're going to be smoother, have a more efficient stride, and that's going to save you energy over long distances. And by working on your mobility, you're going to make sure you've got all of those joints and those tissues loading evenly, which is going to reduce the chance of overload injuries. Really common in marathon training, especially areas like the ankles and the hips. And when your mobility is limited, your form's actually going to break down earlier into those long runs. So keeping the body mobile, that's going to help you hold your posture better in those closing stages. And if you're doing it post-run or in the evening before you wind down, you're also promoting recovery, because adding mobility in is going to increase blood flow. That's going to reduce stiffness, so you're going to be able to bounce back quicker in between sessions. And when we say a mobility session, it doesn't look remotely the same as a workout, guys. It doesn't need to be a massive amount of time. 10 minutes, 5 minutes, even 3 minutes really goes a long way. And even better, daily consistency with those minutes. And you know what makes it easier to keep consistent with mobility? Having an app that sends you notifications to say, don't forget to do your mobility. Here's a reminder of your personalized routine. And you can see measurable improvements day by day by tracking everything on there. And I kind of love how it's gamified, because you've got a score for each little thing that you're trying to work on. And instead of guessing and choosing just your favorite exercises, which is probably what I've done in the past, and maybe why I haven't been improving in that hip rotation, it makes it specific to you, and you can take those tests over and over again so that it stays relevant. I'm very excited to use this when I get back running and use the activate protocols, because whilst I am already a big fan of activating pre-run, I have a sneaking suspicion there's going to be stuff in here that I haven't tried before that's going to be helpful to me. So that's my pitch for adding in a non-negotiable recovery habit, and my pitch for mobility to be that habit with GoWard. And if you'd like to tap into using their support, like so many other athletes have, with over 1.6 million users and over 1,500 pro athletes, check out GoWard by clicking the link at the top of the description. I got the goods.
Have you now?
I got some good goods.
I'll be the judge of that. Come on, show me the money.
I need to give them the fourth piece of advice first, because this specific thing comes in later. So you can come back if you want.
Are you asking me to leave?
Yeah.
Hello, darkness, smile.
It's for your own good. This advice is very relevant for Daniel, because he may or may not be doing his first marathon soon. He just doesn't know it yet.
What did he say?
The Before I give you this next one, I want to ask you a question. How many of you treat your training like an experiment? Probably not many of you. And I don't completely see my training as an experiment. Some of what I do, I know it's gonna work, but sometimes it is just finding out. But do you remember in science, they would talk about controlling the variables? And if we're looking to test something to see if it works, to see if it leads to an improvement, we change one thing at a time. So please, for my fourth piece of advice, stop upgrading every aspect of the plan at the same time. New shoes, new gym routine, longer long runs, more intense workouts. You're training on 6 days instead of 4. We've upped the mileage, and we're wearing carbon shoes twice a week for all of our workouts when previously we'd only raced in them once. New nutrition plan. You have regrets. Injuries love a big upgrade month because what your body doesn't love is not having the time to adapt to a new stimulus or a new thing being introduced to your training before you add in another new thing, or 5. And the great news is this one is really simple. Change one thing at a time. So easy. If I change the shoes that I'm running in, I will be doing the same volume, the same workouts that I'm used to, in the same structure, with the same gym routine, the same everything else. If we've decided to up the intensity of my workouts or one of my workouts in a week, I will not also be upping the volume of my long run that week or adding in 20 extra miles to the week. Change is good. Loads of these things are fantastic, provided you've got the balance of recovery in there and amongst your plan. But just change one variable at a time so that your body knows what's hit it and it's given a minute to wrap its head around that and get on board before you add the next thing in. And you know how I mentioned earlier on that I happen to be dealing with an injury at the moment? Well, I'm actually going to be easing back into training and running very soon. And when you're returning from an injury, that is the most important time to get all of this stuff right. Because the biggest risk for an injury is another injury. So coming back from one into training is a risky time. So I'm really looking forward to showing you how I actually use all of these things in practice as I'm building back myself. So I think you should follow along because you might learn something from seeing me do that. And this comeback is going to be something special. Mark my words. It is so sad when it is getting dark at 3:30 p.m. Not just because it's dark, and that can be a little bit depressing, but it also brings with it the cold, the rain, and the wind. Not super conducive to running fast. How many of you find that you get a little bit blue when you're fighting the elements in the winter to try and hit your splits? Perhaps you don't mind the winter, and it's actually the summer that you find yourself all red in the face because your shoes are filling up with sweat faster than you're running. I hope you like what I did there with the light. I've got a remote control. For my 5th piece of advice, let the weather win. Hot? Slow down. Windy? Don't kill yourself fighting a headwind. Slippery? Shorten your stride a little bit. Put on the grippiest shoes you have, or better yet, go on the treadmill. Trying to beat the weather, it's kind of like trying to outrun science. And it also causes very predictable injuries. I once picked up a very annoying ankle injury because I thought I would just chance it with the ice that was covering the pavements outside. I was 18, I was at university, and I didn't know any better. If there is ice out there on those streets now and I'm running, I'm going on the treadmill. It is not worth risking it when your environment is categorically increasing the risk of injury. For number 6, if you're a runner who hates doing strength training, you might actually like this one because you might be doing strength training wrong. Because instead of just ticking a box by doing some strength training, we really need to be strength training the smart way. What do I mean by that? Whether you like it or not, for most runners, you should be strength training from between 1 to 2 times per week for injury prevention. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. For those 1 to 2 days a week, for a consistent period of time, let's say between 6 to 12 weeks, sometimes longer, you should be doing the same strength routine. And I'm not saying that every strength session has to be the same. I've got 3 and I strength train twice a week. So mine rotate. I'll have Wednesday session A, Saturday session B, Wednesday session C, Saturday session A. You get the idea. Practicing and repeating the same group of exercises, which ideally are not only runner specific, but they're specific to you. That's what's going to trickle down to not only injury prevention, but improving your form, improving your efficiency, and really complementing your training and your performances. The point at which I changed my strength training from some off-the-shelf exercises that my coach had given me from what other athletes were using and what was recommended in general to a very similar setup, but with exercises that were specifically tailored towards my weaknesses. That completely changed the game. Not only was I noticing the translation from what I was doing in the gym to my sessions actually improving, how I was holding myself improving, and common niggles that had cropped up time and time again in the past not being an issue anymore for me. The best way to do this is to have either a strength and conditioning coach or a physio look at you, not just like you're sitting on one side of the room and they're sitting on the other. You want them to assess the way you're moving, your strength and mobility in different areas. What's different left to right? What injuries have you had in the past and what could be causing that further up the chain? And then having them suggest the program, suggest the corrections, and suggest the things that are going to turn your weaknesses into, well, not weaknesses anymore, maybe even strengths. And this doesn't have to break the bank. You don't need to be working with a strength coach and them coming to your strength sessions every week. You can just go and get an assessment and then have their opinion given to you in a training plan that you can then go and take away. Yes, it's better if you do work with them again and come back and revisit that and adapt it, but just don't switch everything that you're doing every week. Try and stay consistent with this. And if you can be doing the right exercises for you and sticking with them rather than just doing what you fancy based on what's trending on your Instagram feed, it's going to be a lot more impactful, and that strength training is going to be time well spent. It's time for the 7th piece of advice, which means we get to see what's in the bag.
Yes, finally.
There's one thing in here that I'm gonna somehow loosely try and tie to this point, and it didn't go to plan. Okay. Which you'll understand when I get there. It's a bit embarrassing actually. It's not this. It's not.
Yes.
It's not this. It's not these. Also not these. But they're gonna be really good.
Okay.
It's not this. I actually don't know what this is.
3 times Scottish tablet treats.
And it's also not this chocolate that was £5.
Oh, hell no!
It's this. Because number 7 is slow down. Yes, you. And this was meant to be decaf coffee. So that I was gonna kind of like say, like, you don't need, because caffeinated coffee, because it might make you run faster. And so with the decaf coffee, it's just like being a bit slower.
That didn't work.
It didn't work. It's not decaf, so never mind. Almost every single runner will fall victim to making the most universal mistake that you can make in distance running. Running too fast, too often. And I have been there. There was a time when I was upset if I saw a mile split starting with a 7, which is ridiculous because all of my easy runs start with a 7 now, if not an 8 something minute mile to get me started and warmed up as I get out the door. And guess what? When I was running 6 to 6:30 minute miling for all of my easy runs and doing 3 workouts in a week, I picked up a different niggle every 6 to 8 weeks. Most injuries come from too much load too quickly. That could be from increasing your volume too quickly, or it could be from running too fast too often because you are stressing the body too much. And a really common reason this happens by accident is stacking too much moderate work. Easy sometimes means embarrassingly slow in your very Strava obsessed ego. Saving your legs in between workouts, in between races, in between training blocks. That is going to protect you for the running that actually matters. I'm not saying that easy runs don't matter. They are a huge part of building your aerobic base, from the 5K all the way up to the marathon. But you're not going to be able to get the most out of yourself in sessions and workouts, and make sure you're on the start line for races because you haven't picked up an injury from overloading the system if you don't let yourself recover in between those hard efforts. Because if you're not being honest and taking your easy runs easy and they're actually tiring you out and stopping you from recovering, you're just hugging that red line rather than coming down from it to come back up. So slow down a little bit, drink the decaf coffee, let go of an arbitrary number. No one on your Strava feed cares if your average pace is 30 seconds slower than you think it should be because you've decided it should. What free piece of advice would you give to someone who is a little bit unsure, trying to break that injury cycle and wants to commit to running consistently? Let me know in the comments section, because I think we should all learn from everyone's mistakes and make less of them, because wouldn't that be nice? And before you go, don't forget to love the grind.